the data is in. It turns out porn is not good for your brain. All right, look, I don't think anyone's arguing this anymore. Morally, is it right? That's for you to decide. Ethically, but neurologically, here's the data. Mental health impact of porn. So they surveyed a bunch of men, and here's what they found. 60% said they felt lonely or isolated in the past week. 78% said they felt unhappy about their appearance in the past week. 74% of men who watch porn in the past 24 hours said they felt self-conscious or insecure in the past week. Does any of this sound familiar? I know it does for me, right? And then they compared the satisfaction that a man feels in his sex life in men who watch porn versus men who don't. And they basically just showed that men who don't watch porn are generally more satisfied with their sex lives, okay? 41% said they're completely satisfied. Those are the men who don't watch porn. Versus 26% of men who do watch porn are satisfied with their sex life. So I want to start with the wrong approach when we go and try to quit porn, and the reason I'm starting with that is because this is the approach I see everywhere, on YouTube videos, all over the forums, with men I've worked with. This is what they've tried in the past. And this approach generally does not work. And that is, we'll just encompass this as the willpower / streak approach. Okay? I'm gonna quit porn. All right, I need to set up my tracker. I need to set up my streak counter, and I'm gonna track how many days I don't watch porn. How do I quit porn? I need to conquer this problem, right? Us as men, when we have a problem in our lives, we generally focus more attention and effort to that problem, and that allows us to solve the problem. And so that's the approach that we take when we go to quit porn, okay? It's fair. That's what I did. That's what almost every man does. And so we watch porn, right? We said we were going to quit and we watch it. Okay, how do I get smarter about quitting? How do I dedicate more time, energy, thought, resources to tackling this problem? Because that's the solution that works for me in every other area of life. Why not? It's going to work for porn. It's going to work. Reset my streak counter. Put a 1 in the tracker. I watched porn that day. Maybe a 2. I watched porn a couple times that day, right? Do you see the problem with that approach, though? The problem with that approach is that we are dedicating a ton of attention to porn, right? It's almost like, I've heard somebody describe it, when we were addicted to porn, we were watching it, we were orbiting porn. We were in its gravitational pull. Now that we have quit, or we're trying to quit, and we're doing all this streaking and counting and all that, we are orbiting porn still, but in the opposite direction. Always thinking about it, overanalyzing our relapses, calling them relapse. So the language is important that we use as well. Streaks, relapses, I failed, slips, all of that language, we're gonna fucking throw that in the trash. Because my next point is the approach that actually works. And before I can share that with you, I have to tell you that porn, it's not the problem, right? We frame it as the problem. Porn is the reason I have brain fog. It's the reason I'm not good with girls. It makes me awkward. It makes me creepy. Porn is doing all this. Porn is doing this thing to me. Porn is the problem. I invite you to reframe that, and that porn is actually the solution. Porn is never the problem. It is the solution to the problem. And so you may guess that the direction we're going here with the right approach is to solve the problem itself. Porn is currently your solution to the problem, right? And so the way that we get rid of porn is we solve the problem. So that we no longer we solve the problem in a different way that doesn't require porn. And now we no longer need porn because we don't have the problem because we learned how to solve it in a different way. All right, so man, we could go so far into this, but just so this video doesn't drag out, I'm gonna give y'all the Cliff Notes version, and we can get into comment or DM me or whatever if you want more of this stuff, and we'll get deeper into it. But basically, number one is we're going to change our language that we use when we talk about this thing, right? This solution. So that's step one, right? And there's the first thing we can do, the first language change we can make. We are no longer calling it the problem. We are now realizing that, oh, it's the solution, okay? Another language change we can make, we're not speaking in terms of relapses or slips or failures or streaks or any of the common terminology that you hear in addiction and addiction recovery, okay? What people call a relapse is simply a peeking into a familiar comfort zone, briefly and temporarily, as you level up and evolve into your higher self, right? So it's not a relapse, it's not a slip, it's not a I fucked up, it's not a I made a mistake. It's just, okay, you briefly looked back at a comfort zone, a familiar coping mechanism for you, a familiar solution, right? And so anyways, that's the first thing. We're going to change our language because our language is very powerful. The way we speak about things, we give things power, and we can also take power away from things. And what we're doing is taking the power away from porn, okay? In that same vein, the second thing that we're going to do to quit is we're going to forget, okay? To quit, you must forget. So again, the wrong approach is to dedicate more thought, more time, more attention, and more effort. Again, I know that is the masculine solution to everything, and it serves as well in life. But with problems that involve the mind, with problems of the psyche, we cannot apply that same approach. Okay, so we have to take a little bit of an alternative approach here, right? And so we're basically tricking our minds. And so again, we're not going to dedicate a bunch of resources to it. We're actually just going to talk about it less, right? So all of the posts that you might make about it, all of the journal entries that oh fuck, I did this relapse and I think this is why, and I think here was my trigger and here, okay. No more. We're going to forget about it. And in fact, we're going to replace it with what? Well, now that we know that it's a solution, we're going to replace it with healthier solutions. Solutions that are generative, meaning they make us feel better in the long term and not destructive, right? Meaning like porn, booze, things that are temporarily relieving, but in the long run make us feel worse and just suppress the problem further. And so I don't think I'll say more on this topic for now in this video, but like I said, I think that helps us to get started and at least reframing the way that we've been thinking about this problem for however many months or years we've been trying to tackle it. And again, if you guys like this video, if y'all like this topic, if you want me to go deeper into it, let me know. Appreciate y'all.